again.
Oh, we're live.
Cool. I'm recording. From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed Track.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here come the candles to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew?
Big show tonight. We got a lot to talk about. It's the 4th of July. It's This is America, the series finale. This is it, folks.
But what about the reboot?
That's going to be kind of weird.
Did you see that they're going to do another reboot of Beavis and Butthead?
Really?
Really?
The
Yeah.
Third? Okay.
Yeah, because they brought it back in 2011 for one season.
Yeah.
And then it went away, and now they're... But it's going to be on... I think it's supposed to be on Comedy Central and not MTV.
Okay.
So,
Well,
I
have
don't
a decent chance of being funny for a season and getting really good ratings and getting canceled.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, I don't know. It seems like Comedy Central is on the verge of collapsing anyways, so...
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was going to say maybe Comedy Central might actually draw more viewers than MTV, but I don't know.
Maybe, but also MTV production is so cheap that maybe the profits work out in their favor.
Could be.
I don't know, there's like so many people that like do stuff for Comedy Central, and like all these people have their own podcasts, and it's more lucrative for them to do podcasts than to work for Comedy Central.
Yeah, but a lot of comedians talk about that.
Which is fucking, I don't know. There seems to be this line of things. Like I remember like, you know, when I was like 10 or whatever, like MTV was so fucking cool, and that's where you got information from. And then, you know, it fell apart. And then like kind of what came out in the wake of that is like Comedy Central kind of became that for me. And then that slowly kind of fell apart. And then like Adult Swim became the next thing for me. And that didn't necessarily fall apart. I'm just not really, like, I know one show on Adult Swim.
Kind of outgrew it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I outgrew it. I just, like, I didn't, like, go and seek it out anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird, that kind of entertainment is just a weird environment. I don't understand it. I don't understand any of that stuff. I don't even understand how the Sci-Fi Channel works.
Oh, yeah, that's probably on the verge of collapsing, too, because, like, they can't even, like, they don't even, like, I think, like, their most highly rated shows are, like, all those, like, shows where they have, like monster makeup competitions.
Oh, okay. Face Off and
Yeah.
something like that, yeah.
Or, and just, like, fandom shows. Like, they just, like, like, the only thing they can actually, like, produce themselves are just, like, really cheaply done, like, Supernatural knockoffs that are made in Canada. Like, that's the only thing they can produce. Like, they're not even trying to make, like, a Farscape or The Expanse anymore. They just gave up on that completely.
Well, I have an idea for new baiting shows that get you to click space on the title. This dick tantrums, people that are dicks that throw tantrums, just like Pussy Watch. So you're just watching cats play with like yard and other shit like that. And anal fortitude, where it's just anal people getting their shit together. Just, I don't know, just like all these baiting shows.
Not literally.
Yeah, it's just kind of basic. It's like, oh wow, what are we gonna see here? Stamina. It's like, well,
Doorknobs and bed sheets.
How much can you take? The it's like we're gonna just have the show called Phrasing, where people go for shit all day long. I think cable TV is dying anyway, right?
I mean,
They write its obituary every couple of years, and then
well, I mean, like overall, cable ratings are down, but I don't know about like, because like all the on-demand stuff is secret. That's kind of the thing. Like if you follow like Nielsen ratings and stuff like that, it seems like everything's crashing and burning. But all that like on-demand stuff is like secret to the company that puts it out, and only they know like what it is. Or you see like if like I think if you like look at like the numbers on like things like Game of Thrones, like it was completely irresponsible of HBO to produce that series, like financially.
oh yeah, yeah. There was no guarantee that would find the because I thought it was odd, and I knew those books. I was like, they're gonna make a series out of this? Okay.
But and also like like their ratings were good, but it wasn't anything like it wasn't like MASH finale good, and but it was so pirated, and they kind of like just turned a blind eye to the piracy because it was just like, well, we're getting our shit out there.
Yeah.
It's like the most popular thing in the world, even though like the Nielsen numbers wouldn't necessarily reflect that. So it does something for them to just keep HBO and everyone's on the top of everyone's mind, and then they can put out HBO Max or whatever. So.
Yeah, I heard something weird like about Star Wars. Have you heard about the Star Wars stuff?
No.
Where like what they call the Skywalker trilogy, the last 3 movies, that might become its own like Star Wars Abrams verse, where it's not really part of the main timeline, and they want to try to do 3 different movies now. That sounds ridiculous, but
What, 3 different follow-ups to Return of the Jedi? Oh, Jesus
they want to make it its own like separate thing. That's a rumor. No one's like, oh, who's the lady that runs it, Lucas or Disney? Kathleen Kennedy, or she's not like coming out and saying that, but
yeah.
It's like, oh,
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff around Star Wars. Like, there was a lot of plans, and all that stuff's been kind of sucked back in and been kept secret. Because, like, Rian Johnson was supposed to get his own trilogy after The Last Jedi, and then, like, they fucking canned all that shit. Although I think technically on the books, it's still a go somewhere. It just has no timetable. It's like, yeah, we still kind of want to do this. Or there was that thing with the guys from Game of Thrones that they were supposed to get their Star Wars thing, and that got immediately canceled after the. Actually, I'm not sure if it was canceled. They just like kept it hush hush. Like, yeah, we don't want to like reveal our cards on what they're doing or if they're doing anything.
sounds encouraging. But yeah, but, I mean, I've heard weird things like like there's groups of investors with Lucasfilm that's trying to raise money to buy it away from Disney. I've heard that for the last year. I mean, I don't get the memoranda come across my desk. I don't know shit about shit, but I do. This stuff pops up in my entertainment feeds, and I read it, and it's like, well, this doesn't sound totally incoherent. It's actually written by in a newspaper and by a guy who seems to know what he's talking about.
I hear good things about that animated Clone Wars stuff, because they had a new season recently, and then Mandalorian. Looking forward to that. They now have a Star Wars. Do you ever? Did you? Well, you're probably too old for it, Nathan. But do you remember Legend of the Hidden Temple?
No.
Do you remember? What's that Nickelodeon game show with like all the giant teeth and stuff and obstacle courses? Like Double Dare. Do you remember Double Dare?
Yeah, I do remember Double Dare.
Legend of the Hidden Temple is just kind of like Double Dare, but it just had this very, like, this Mayan temple kind of motif to it. And, like, kids, a team of kids would just, like, do these kind of, like, American Gladiator-esque courses and solve stuff. So they have it's called, like, I think it's like Legend of the Jedi Temple or something like that, and it's a Star Wars version of that.
Oh, okay.
So that's out there on YouTube.
That sounds fun.
There's like a bunch of those now, because I heard things about there's a show on Netflix called The Floor is Lava, which like Wipeout, but like I haven't seen it yet. Just like it's just been blowing up on various things I listen to.
Well, it's like next level parkour where you can't hit the floor.
Yeah.
That's like almost everyday objects. You jump from one thing to another. It's like, what if you could? We've all had that kid fantasy where you don't touch the floor, like you're on tables and stuff. It's like, what if you extrapolate that with athletes with normal settings,
Yeah.
and then the ridiculousness curve shoots up and goes on.
Well, I heard they do an interesting thing with the editing is that with if people fall into the quote unquote lava, they edit them out of the show, implying that they died.
That's nice.
And then there's a bunch of other ones like that where it's just like it's like now they're catching up on the wipeout curve. now we're just turned into Japanese TV from 20 years ago.
Japanese TV effect, which is what else was I watching that I was gonna talk about that was strange? Oh, I can't remember. But yeah, no, it's just I hear all this weird entertainment news because everyone's just flailing to figure out. It's like, how are we gonna keep making money?
I saw a fucking weird where it's like on TBS and it's essentially like various celebrities just make like mini shows inside their house and then like it's kind of put up as a collage on TBS.
Okay.
And
that sounds weird.
And Kevin Smith is doing one where it's his daughter is dating some new guy and it's just like shenanigans and it's all filmed inside his house like on iPhones and shit. And they just like present it to a panel of comedians.
Huh.
It's fucking weird.
Weird, yeah. Kevin Smith's weed house. Or does he still smoke weed?
Yeah, I believe so.
I know he lost like a bunch of weight because he had a heart attack or whatever.
I'm not. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I know he like is now vegan and all that, and intermittent fasting or just straight fasting.
Not familiar with that concept.
But so I believe he still consumes weed. I'm just not sure the how he gets it. I'm not sure if he's still smoking it or if he's like ingesting it or whatever.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was still a thing with him.
I believe so, but you know.
Well, let's say I picked up I had a kind of an impulsive model pickup this week because I'm still working on my Chernobyl one, but I'm waiting for paint to dry. So I got something in the interim, and I heard about this. I picked it up. It's the
What?
So you got the car and you never watched the show?
no, I watched parts of the show.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I talked about it. Yeah, I mean, there's like, you know,
'Cause
20
I remember we've like tried to convince you to watch the show. I was like, we think you'll like it, and we'd never heard like a report back of you watching the show.
Well, it was available on. It's available on one of the streaming platforms.
Yeah, there's a weird thing with the first couple seasons because there's a lot of like 70s rock that they don't have like the streaming rights to, but if you get it on DVD, you can see it with the original music.
Oh, okay.
Which is why like the first 3 seasons DVD sets are like strangely expensive.
No, because they had to pay for all the rights to the music.
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, I've watched. I've watched some of this. I mean, it's an interesting show. I mean, there's a lot of ground to cover there. I definitely am not going to run out of stuff to watch.
I think it's like at least for American television, it's the well, yeah. If you forget Doctor Who, it's the longest running sci-fi show of all time.
Yeah. So I picked up the car because and it wasn't expensive. So I was like, oh, this is just a reboxing of an old model that they made.
Oh,
They didn't like new molds and stuff.
oh, they didn't put like a trunk full of guns in it or anything.
It's got a trunk. It's got the pentagram you can put in the trunk.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's a curbside. Or what do they call those? The trunk doesn't open.
Okay.
I mean, I could make it open if I wanted to, but I'd have to fabricate brackets and an interior for it. But yeah, I don't do a lot of car models. As a matter of fact, I don't do any. This is my first classic car model, so we'll see how this turns out.
Well, what made you like? What was the impulse that you acted on?
Well, it's just I'd seen some of the TV shows. I always thought that was cool to have that car because that's one of those old cool muscle, because that one's got like a big block engine in it or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's one of those old cool.
Well, it's kind of a hybrid car because it was like in that at that time that was kind of a family car too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. But like in modern times, it's seen as a muscle car.
Well, yeah, this was it was marketed as a sports sedan
Yeah.
because it had everything from there was all, the hot rod guys would kill me. I know there were different engine variances. It had the 300 series small block engines, and then it had one with a giant big block engine in it. I believe the one on the show is the big block, but yeah, it was kind of marketed as like a dual use. Like, yeah, this is fast, and you can put a family in it. And they made like millions of these. They're not that uncommon a car. I mean, to find one that's fully restored and working like that one, if you wanted to pay for that, it'd be about $50,000. But you can find an old one almost anywhere.
Yeah, well, a production thing for the show, they have like 5 of those cars because the main car barely works.
Yeah.
Like if you see it like roll into shot every once in a while and they get out of the car, a lot of times it's like people literally pushing the car into shot. And them adding like engine noises in the post. And then for like the big hero stuff, they have those cars where it's like it's the shell of the car, and then underneath is like a kind of a modern like roll body kit or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not that hard. I forget how many of them they made, but there was a lot of these made.
Millions, probably.
Yeah. Well, in the Impala series, yeah, there was a lot, but yeah, I've heard about the car on the show. I forget. There's a reason they don't fix it, and I forget what. I think because it's set up for cameras and all. I don't know. There's something they just toss down because the engine for this is to get it built up and stuff is thousands of dollars.
Well, there is a canonical reason with the show because the car has been destroyed like several times throughout the show.
Yeah,
and then it's like, because it's a gift from their dad or it's an heirloom of their dad, they're compelled to rebuild it every time it gets completely broken.
Yeah. Yeah, because his dad just bought it at a used car lot for like $2,000.
Yeah.
And just decided to roam the hinterlands of Indiana and Ohio hunting evil. That was the car that was left to it. That was like his legacy to the kids, is this giant, gas guzzling car from the 60s. So, yeah. I'm going to do a straight build on it. I got to get some glossy paint. I don't have any glossy paint. Because it'd be weird if I painted it flat black. That would be strange.
Yeah.
But I did dechrome it. I do my own chrome bumpers. Because that shiny chrome on a model kit, I think looks weird. That's an aesthetic choice of mine.
Yeah.
So I just strip it off with muriatic acid and I do my own. Here's the nose piece on it. You can see it's chrome, but it's dull.
Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like in real life. And plus, there's all that black backing you got to do to get all the black spaces in the grill, and you can't get that. You can't get paint to stick to that glossy chrome that it comes in.
Huh.
I just dip them in acid and they turn gray.
Are you gonna have a series of like horror themed muscle cars? Or are you gonna get like the Himikuda from Phantasm next?
Most expensive movie car ever used and destroyed. Well, I think Miami beats them, but yeah. Yeah, that car that Reggie drives, that Himikuda convertible. I don't think there were more than 100 of those made. Those are not common cars.
Yeah, I think the only reason they had it is because I think it was just Don Coscarelli's car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool car. I mean, you got to rebuild the engine every 30,000 miles. But it's a cool car. Oh yeah, here's the engine for the car. Actually, I was doing some stand work on it. I don't know if anyone can see that.
Huh. Was that like were they factory like that? The red, like
No,
cake?
just my
Okay.
Because when you rebuild them, there is a color called Chevy Orange.
Yeah, that's what I usually see. Like, but on like rebuilds, I don't really see that in like the factory car.
No, the cars don't paint the engines from the factory. It's too much money. The closest I had was a color called Rumble Raugen, which is like, so this is basically painted like a Tiger tank engine. That's the closest I had to Chevy Orange. Was it's like, yeah, it'll just paint it like a Nazi tank. Because I don't really have, I don't have a lot of. They make the this same company makes the car from Christine,
Huh.
so I might pick that up. I don't know. I'm, like I said, I'm working on the Chernobyl thing, but I'm waiting for. I'm doing that multi-layer painting technique, so I've got to wait like 72 hours for it to dry before I can put tape to tape it off and paint the next layer, so it looks kind of has depth. Because if you put the paint on too early, I've only done it, or put the tape on too early, I've only done it once. You get all the tape pulled off, and you're like, that looks cool, and then you'll pull off one piece of tape, all the fucking paint will come off. Like, then you're done. You're just like, well, back to the sanding thing. And then that door is always going to look weird to you because you'll know. So in between paint drying, I'm working on the Supernatural 67 Impala Super Sport.
Oh, is that what SS stood for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had that.
Because that's what they had the Chevelle or SS Chevelles, right?
Yeah. And then what was the Ford competition to this? Was it the LTD? And yeah, they had those, and they put much larger engines in those. What's the engine? Did they put a Cobra Jet in those? Maybe, I'm not sure. 429. You're talking about cars that are getting like single-digit mileage, just rear-wheel drive cars that are just, you couldn't pour gas on the ground faster than they burned through it. But they are cool. They're fun to drive. Big, huge cars like that, you'll never have a better ride. I don't care what you're playing with. Maybe a Rolls Royce or something, but just those big, heavy, spread-out cars have the best ride. Not so good for braking in corners. Best ride. It's like the guys. I watched some videos to get some ideas of what the interiors and stuff look like, and all the guys talk about how they had to do their own custom brakes, and they put like Brembo disc brakes all the way around them because they came with, some of them didn't even have discs on the front, some of them did, but they had drums in the back, and those are just not. Drum brakes are great for like heavy duty vehicles to stop them, but not for cars. But they had to build like, they had to get like their own proportioning valves and stuff, because if the brakes grab too tight based on how the car's suspensions are built, it'd fuck up the suspensions. So they have to really, because there's just so much rolling weight there. If you suddenly shock stop it, like all that force is going to go somewhere and go into the suspension of the car. So these guys are doing like, it's like Jay Leno stuff. It's like, I want to spend $100,000 restoring a rusty hot rod from the 60s. All right, the trust funds are nice. I guess. I don't know how you're doing that.
Oh, and Jay Leno, he's good.
Well, Jay Leno, I know how he's doing it, but some of these guys on YouTube, like they have a house like mine, and then they're going to the garage, and these guys are like tuning up these cars. It's like, that car's worth more than your house now.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of channels. There's this one guy, he just rebuilds Teslas.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that guy.
And I'm like, how are you doing this? And then every once in a while he has a build where like he just gets completely fucked on it.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you recovering from this? Like, you invested like 10 grand into this car. There's no way you're getting that out of it. But like once
You
you're
guys...
What's that?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you're not done, so sorry, continue.
No, I was just saying that like once you're like in those kind of like worlds where like you have buyers and you're doing something, like there's got to be like a release valve where like somebody will buy it from you.
Yeah.
Whereas like I have like, there's nobody.
Joe Rogan talks about stuff like that because he got fucked on cars before, because he likes really specific cars for specific reasons. And I forget which car it was. I think it was his old Barracuda or whatever. He said these people were charging him so much money after a while. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't want it. I don't want it. And you can sell it to somebody else, and I want my money back. I call my lawyers. And yeah, because he had another guy on there that like takes those Toyota Land Cruisers from the 80s and the 70s, and that's all his businesses is restoring those and selling them. And he was telling this guy what happened to him, and he's like, yeah, some of those car restore guys, it's if they think they got a rich client, man, it's just unlimited.
Yeah, there's one guy I've heard him on like multiple media things. It's called like Dave's Bronco Graveyard, and that's
Mhm.
all he does.
Mhm.
It's Broncos.
He caters to Broncos.
Anyways,
Yeah.
what were you saying, Andrew?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Andy.
Oh no, I was gonna, because you guys are talking about big money in cars. You guys heard about the Illinois lawsuits?
Oh yeah.
So like
guys
yeah,
were
the
building-
people that try and make the Gone in 60 Seconds Illinois car, some widowed bitches. She owns the rights to the car because I guess it's based off her name or some bullshit. So she actually won against Carroll Shelby the year he died for rights to that car. So she has all the rights to it. So anytime anybody tries to build one, so right now there's the guy B is for Bill, the popular YouTube channel. He tried to build one this year, and he made the mistake of saying it was Eleanor inspired. So when that happens, she comes, takes the car, you lose everything you put into it, and she destroys it. That's what she does with every car she finds that looks like Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds. And she has legal right to do all of this. She always wins.
Yeah, she better.
So
keep
it's like,
the name
Jesus
and
fucking
address
Christ.
Secret. You crossed the wrong button, wanted that car. You just might burn your fucking house down for fun.
Well, I can't remember because I couldn't find anything because I was looking it up now how many times she's done it. But recently it was the B is her build guy because I've watched a couple of his because he's done some Subaru rebuilds
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
know
that because he like takes floated out cars, builds them and shit.
Message on YouTube, and I think he had his like, please feel free to respond. And YouTube shut down the comments section. People were like, you should dox her. Look on the legal paperwork. Like, nope. We're already in enough trouble. Yeah, you got to be careful building those like trademarked things, because if any movie company or whatever that has any rights to that, they're gonna sue you, or they're gonna want to take some of your profits, or they're gonna shut your business down.
Well, I was a
Oh
story.
yeah.
There was a story I was working on, and I was gonna have like this little thing in there, where like this guy has like a fake thumb that basically has like a T1000 liquid metal thing, and he picks locks with it, and like he was gonna say something like I always have the edge, and that's what he calls it, the edge. And then it was just like a fun phrase for him to say. But then there's like some British guy who's like a prisoner who like learned how to be a lawyer, and anytime you like name something the edge, you'll get legal paperwork from him suing you.
Nice.
So I'm like, I didn't bother to like, that's not going in now.
How does the guy you two get away with it then? Or does he just have bigger lawyers?
Oh, he's probably sued him before, and yeah, the actual lawyers like wasted his time, but he's in prison, so I guess he has time to waste.
Yeah, he's got nothing but time.
Because like, yeah, I don't think you have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a lawyer to produce like, what do you say, like paperwork or like law paperwork.
Legal briefs.
Yeah, legal paperwork. Yeah.
You don't have to be a lawyer to have a license to practice law. You have to pass the bar exam. It's called challenging bar. I don't think every state has it, but some states do. Now, there's still limits on what you can do. Like, I don't think you can advertise it as you are services because you don't have a law degree. But I think you can you can defend yourself and stuff. But yeah, there's been 2 or 3 guys I've read about that were like, they were copped or whatever, and they knew a lot about the law, and they took some night school classes to bone up on it, and they just passed the bar exam, which is like insane. And I don't think you can do that. Goes back to like the comma origins of America when we have all those. There's things written in the law where it's like, yeah, you can represent yourself, represent other people, but if you screw up, you can also be sued. So,
You're going to jail for trying to be a lawyer.
yeah, being a fake lawyer. I always wondered about those stories. You ever hear about those guys that like retire and you find out like they never went to law school, but they've been lawyers down south for like 50 years? Like the help people write up wills. They just knew how to do all this stuff, but just like they never graduated high school. It all comes out. That's amazing. And they're respected, given awards. Like, yeah, this is the lawyer of the year. And you're not doing that in New York City. Like those John Grisham type stories, from the South with lawyers. It's like, yeah, it's one of these guys, And it's like, yeah, he never graduated high school. He's not a lawyer. But or they'll get a law partner that has no talent, and it's like, but he's really good at doing legal briefs and stuff, and this guy will do all the court work, and his partner will do all the paperwork.
Yeah.
I've had teams work like that for years. The one guys I like are the fake doctors. They're like doctors for years until somebody, like, they get some malpractice thing against them or something. They start doing records on him. It's like, well, this guy never. The guy's not a doctor. What the hell's he doing? Now you can go to prison for a long time for practicing medicine without a license. But yeah, it's. I always hear those stories. It's like, who decides, like, what balls is that? It's like,
Yeah, I mean that seems like older generation stuff, but every once in a while it pops up, and it's like, how? You figure people are like paying attention to this stuff?
yeah, I mean, I
Because like I think of like that like fake doctor stuff. I think of like Cider House Rules, where it's like it was all, you know, they all fabricated that stuff, but you know he did grow up like learning how to be a doctor. So
yeah. Well, it's like the what was I gonna say? Shit, lost my train of thought. But yeah, I don't. That's just kind of weird stuff that crops up. Oh, I was gonna say, like, yeah, I have a lawyer. I have an actual lawyer. I paid him money to represent me in things. Like, I really don't know if he has a law degree, but I think he does. You know? It's got one hanging on the wall. It says University of Michigan. So I guess because it's got a weird name. It's called Juris Doctorate or something.
yeah,
It's called JD. I was like, oh, I didn't know that till I saw that in his office. It's like, yeah, that's interesting. That little bit of trivia will cost you $500. Like, yeah, that's why everyone likes you guys. But yeah, anyway, fake lawyers. Find them, hire them, keep them working.
I've been trying a bunch of stuff this week. So I got some new food. I added that as a category now on the notes. Food.
Oh, what kind of food did you get?
I got kombucha.
Okay.
Is that like the spice?
No, it's like it's
No, that's
a fermented tea. So similar to how you make beer. It's like if you did that with tea, you get kombucha.
Where'd
Okay.
you get that at?
At Walmart.
Okay.
It's in the produce section in the refrigerated part.
Oh, okay.
With seeds in it and stuff.
No, but if you look up the one of the first videos Bon Appetit ever did was the It's Alive. It's Brad making kombucha because it's fucking weird.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. What's it supposed to do for you? What's the advantage of it?
Here it says like it's like probiotics and stuff like that, and because it uses so instead of yeast, it uses something called SCOBY,
Okay.
which is a how is it? It's like stratified culture of bacteria and yeast,
Okay.
something like that. I can't remember what the S means, but that's what the rest of it means. And it looks like a jellyfish like growing in tea. It's
Okay.
fucking weird.
Let's get this in our body.
Yep. Well, you don't drink the SCOBY, you kind of like get underneath the SCOBY. So like I said, like the way yeast is what it does to alcohol, this is what it does to tea.
Oh,
And so
some bacteriological catalyzer for
yeah.
whatever you're drinking. Okay.
So all that to say is I don't like this.
Sounds pretty gross.
Oh.
Now maybe I got a bad stuff because like I immediately went to to Google. I was like, is this supposed to taste like vinegar? And it's like, no, it was fermented too long. So I don't know if like something got fucked up at Walmart or the things, but like, yeah, it kind of tastes like carbonated vinegar.
Yum.
Like I bet there's a good version of it, but like I didn't care for
Probably
it.
not going to get it at Walmart.
No. But like it does so the fermentation process, like it carbonates it. So there is like a fizz that's like naturally generated from it.
Okay.
I don't necessarily like the taste, but it has like a good aftertaste.
Huh.
There's like, well, it's like you kind of initially swallow and you're like, ugh, and then there's like kind of like notes that come up. It's like, oh, it's like berries and tea or whatever. It's like that's not too bad. And then it's kind of and it's almost like Alka-Seltzer. Like it kind of calms your stomach, even though it kind of tastes bad.
I'm just trying to imagine how to describe this as a wine. A strong acidic vinegar palate with smooth berry aftertaste. Sound good.
Yeah, so I got one left. So there was 6 in a box.
Full one. Has it got the squid in the middle of it?
No, because like they don't the SCOBY thing doesn't go into like you leave that in to make more tea. You're not meant to drink it.
Oh, so it's not a jellyfish with every jar.
No. But there is like sediment stuff shit in there, but that you're drinking. That's like because like it's just like probiotics. So there's like some sort of like bacteria that you're consuming.
Yeah.
And it says like if you're pregnant, like don't drink this because in the same reason like pregnant women wouldn't drink alcohol. It's like the same thing with kombucha.
Oh.
This doesn't get you. This isn't getting you drunk. There's no alcohol in it. It's just like bacteria things or whatever.
Yeah. It's just.
So yeah, I'll have to investigate other kombucha, but the one I had, I wasn't too impressed with. And it's weirdly expensive. It was like $12 for 6 of those things.
Okay.
Oh. Well, it's not like horrendous compared to like if you go buy a pop, it's about the same. So I mean, technically,
Well,
it's
if I
not
bought
too
a
bad,
6
but,
packs of Coke,
yeah.
that's $3.33.
I mean, it's like well, yeah, it's not like gas station prices, I guess, not Walmart prices. But
yeah.
no, I haven't tried anything new recently for food besides just fuck, what was it? Oh, it made like a different type of like baked ziti or whatever, so that was good. Not healthy at all, but it was good.
And then the other thing I tried, not to gloss over that, I don't know if you want to expand on that. I'm just like moving on to my next thing. Sorry to just cut you off and ignore what you said.
No, it's just a shit ton of pasta, sausage, and sauce and cheese.
Okay.
Sounds wonderful, by the way.
What kind of is it like an Italian sausage or just
Yeah, okay, so you get like a pound and a half of Italian sausage, and I get 2 jars of pasta sauce and caramelize some onions, and then bake a lot of either penne or ziti. So you just layer it like a lasagna. So you put a little bit of sauce on the bottom, and then a layer baked or the boiled noodles, and then some like Parmesan and mozzarella, and then sausage, onion, and then just layer it on top with all the sauce and everything else. And it comes out, and it's like cheesy and saucy as fuck. It's wonderful. Get some garlic bread with that, and just like, I don't care how many carbs I ate today.
I love food like that. I love food like that, and then a hearty nap.
And then the other thing I tried was Halo Top ice cream.
That's horrible.
What is that?
It's
Is that like from the video game?
no, it's like it's basically like diet ice cream, but not really. Because they always like it's like defining features. They put the calories like in bold letters right in the front. So like I had the cookie dough one. It was like 360 calories.
For the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of like its claim to fame. Because like if you eat like a whole thing of Ben and Jerry's, it's like 1,200 calories.
Yes, I know.
So yeah, so
Very familiar with the concept.
so I had this, and because I kept hearing people say it's good, and like I just didn't believe them.
And did you find out you were right and not believing them? Or?
No, I thought it was fine, but I don't know which one did you have, Andrew, that you didn't like.
I had the chocolate peanut butter one. It was fucking awful. It tasted
Huh.
like I was eating cleaning chemicals. It tastes like I was eating a spoonful of Windex, a little bit of chocolate powder dusted on top.
Huh.
Interesting.
I ate like half of it, just like, oh, maybe I'll get used to it. Like, no, it was horrible.
So I had the chocolate chip cookie dough because it's more it's probably the higher caloric one. I think the only higher one is like the sea salt caramel.
Oh, okay.
But I enjoyed it. Like the vanilla kind of tastes like birthday cake flavor.
Okay.
So they're doing something to it. And then you had little bits of chocolate chips and little bits of cookie dough, and I thought it was fine. And I think the trick they're doing, I'm not sure, is I think they're like aerating the ice cream.
Oh, okay.
Because I've seen them when someone's left it out and it's melted and it takes up like a third of the container, which would make sense if it's like a third of the calories of like Ben and Jerry's. And that's why as an ice cream it's not very smooth. It's kind of chalky.
Yeah, it's very chalky and very not as pleasant as I was hoped for.
But I didn't think it was terrible. And then, for 320 calories, I don't really care about calorie counting stuff. I was just kind of like vaguely interested in it, and so I got it, and I wasn't disappointed. But it seems like seems like you have to choose the right one though. So
Yeah, I mean, I'll try. I think a vanilla one might be better, just because it's easier. Like vanilla doesn't have any calories. You get like a full flavor of that in there.
yeah,
And then like something else that has like full flavor with like very little calories. That way you can maximize and take out, because isn't it coconut milk is all the ice cream stuff in there, if I remember right?
I don't know about Halo Top. I think it's just regular ice cream. That I think they're just doing something special with the process to. Like I said, they're probably aerating it, so it's
Oh,
they're making it fill up a volume that it isn't actually, because like I said, if you melt it, it only takes up a third of that cup, which would make sense.
oh,
That reminds me of remember when Sylvester Stallone got quote unquote fat for Copland?
Yeah.
oh.
He just, I think it was Sylvester Stallone, maybe it was somebody else. Somebody else, and like what they did is they just drank ice cream.
Yeah.
Like they just like put it in the microwave and drank ice cream.
Wow.
Because like it's like a ton of calories, and you'll get fat because of it. But he did it that way so he wouldn't get like addicted to anything. Because it's not like melted ice cream was necessarily not like microwave ice cream sounds like the greatest thing to eat. So
Warm. Or sugar milk or whatever.
yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I haven't had Ben and Jerry's in a long time.
I have it every week.
I was never really much of a sweets guy unless it was stuff Mom made. I just get fat from food and probably too much pop.
Yeah,
I drink way too much Coke and shit.
I just have too much carbs. I just love carbs too much.
Yeah.
Like
I have too much everything.
Yeah, because I was talking last week about putting macaroni and cheese and nacho cheese on nachos and having nachos and macaroni and cheese, and it's just like carbs on carbs on carbs and cheese. Yeah, nothing, no protein whatsoever.
Oh, no chicken on the nachos?
Fried chicken.
There used to be this company, and I forget what they were. They made these hot chili beans, and it was an off-brand. It wasn't Bush's or something. And they were so goddamn good. Just to take cheap, just regular nachos and just some bad cheese. Cheese that's really oil and not cheese. And melt it down and pour it on there, and then pour on like a can of those hot chili beans. And it was like it took you back to earlier days. It was so good. And then you can't find those chili beans anywhere.
Huh.
I forget who made them. But they didn't have meat or anything gross and you didn't want in a can. It was just chili beans. It was hot chili beans with a spicy, I don't know, something. And they weren't even that expensive. But then they just kind of vaporized off the market. It's like, well, no more Velveeta nachos or a can of beans for me.
And then I have a new podcast I've been listening to. And
What's
this
that?
is The Doughboys.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've heard of that one.
The podcast about chain restaurants.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't they do one about Outback?
Oh, they've done one about everyone, but I've only gotten it to recently, so they have like 500 episodes. But recently, they did an episode where they're reviewing Trader Joe's because they can't really go out dining anywhere. So,
Yeah.
and one of the things that got Trader Joe's was watermelon jerky. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
That sounds weird. Okay.
Apparently, it was terrible. So, like, don't worry about it.
Like something from Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't. Do you have Trader Joe's where you are?
Yeah, but I've never been there.
Okay, because like I heard there's like a kind of a split because it's like because there's a company called Aldi's, and we have Aldi's here, but we don't have Trader Joe's here. But it's supposed to be the same company, and I think there's like an East-West split, which with who has Aldi's and who has Trader Joe's.
Yeah, we had one Aldi's on the north end of Ann Arbor for a long time. Now we've got like 5 Aldi's right around me. But we also have Trader Joe. But I've never been. I mean, the only supermarkets I've been to besides Kroger, which is where I get most of my food shopping done, is I used to go to Whole Foods when it was its own thing to get chili ingredients because they had like the best meat and spices. I mean, it was like $100 bowl of chili by the time you were done. But oh yeah, this is really good. I haven't been to Whole Foods since Amazon bought them. But that's the only weird grocery store I ever go to.
And then I listen.
All these to buy cashews sometimes. 'Cause you get like a 5-pound bag of them for some ridiculous cut rate.
Yeah.
price. Like, oh,
Well, yeah, like all the Aldi's and Trader Joe's stuff, it seems to be just like discount foods from Europe, but like brought over here. So it's all like weird off brands.
yeah.
Isn't
they're-
Trader Joe's supposed to be the fancier one, or instead of all these, or?
I don't know, like people talk about it like it's still a good price, but I always hear kind of Trader Joe's and Whole Foods kind of like posed against each other.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, I think because you get weird stuff at Trader Joe's, not necessarily because it's like the highest of quality ingredients.
Yeah, all the alcoholic housewives around here that pretend they're not because they're into wine, they swear by Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
Because they'll get like pallets of wine over there. It's like,
yeah,
me and my friends are having a little bit of wine.
yeah.
Drink
That
a bottle. It's like, that's like me drinking a bottle of whiskey.
yeah.
I'd be a drunk.
Trader Joe's has some like respected discount wine that they sell a lot of. So
Yeah, I've seen it. You always know who the alcoholic housewives are because they have the Trader Joe's reusable bags in their trunk, bottles on it, and it's like, yeah. Okay.
And then there's an interesting episode they did with Scott Ackerman from Comedy Bang Bang, where they reviewed Marie Callender's, the restaurant. This is an old one, so they were still going to.
Restaurant, okay.
Yeah. They started out as a restaurant, but mostly I know them for their frozen pot pies and just pies.
Oh, how are their pots?
Oh, they're the best.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
Like what frozen pot pie do you get?
I don't. I used to go to a place, like a restaurant around here that had pot pies.
Oh, okay.
They went out of business, and it wasn't Boston Market. It was actually a nice place. But yeah,
Yeah, because I only know like 3 frozen pot pies. You got your Banquet, and that's always the shitty one, but they're super cheap. So
that's trailer park meals.
Then you got Marie Callender's, and then there's a Boston Market pot pie, but I always prefer the Marie Callender one.
And I hate chicken pot pie.
Oh, I love it. If
What
it's-
about turkey or beef pot pie?
Okay, so the only non-fruit pie that I've ever liked is there was a wedding reception I went to like 15 years ago where it was chicken and broccoli and cheddar pie.
Yeah,
It's like that actually tasted good, but I've never liked pot pie.
that Marie Callender, you probably won't like it, but that Marie Callender makes there's like a cheesy bacon pot pie that they make that is kind of like that. I don't know if you'll like it. They make it. So.
Huh.
But
I'll check it out.
But yeah, it was kind of Scott Ackerman used to work at a Marie Callender's in like the 80s, so he was kind of reminiscing about that and what a great time it was in his life before he got fired from there for being for underage drinking. And so, but it had this somber tone at the end of it because it said because basically the chain is dying out and the only its patrons are mostly boomers.
Yeah.
But and they said like the food there wasn't that great, and Scott remembers it being better. But the pies are where it's at. They say like the pot pies and just the pies in general are like A+. So eventually they'll probably just become either they'll just do their frozen stuff or they'll become a weird pie vendor.
Yeah. They'll just sell the name. Like, you can still get Chi-Chi's.
Yep.
Do they still have Chi-Chi's? I know they have like stuff at the stores, but I haven't seen it.
It's good stuff in the stores.
Okay, because I haven't seen an actual Chi-Chi's in like 20 years or so.
They killed a bunch of people.
Hmm?
Like, was it the listeria or salmonella or something.
Oh,
That I guess that's what killed them. I was always wondered was why did they close so suddenly? It's like, well, all their customers were dying. It's like, oh, no good. But yeah, no, they're still. You can still buy their stuff at the store, but yeah.
yeah. I see they're like their salsa, and they have like some special tortillas or whatever. But every time I see that, I'm just like reminded, is like, did Chi-Chi still exist?
There's a guy who wanted to bring it back, but he couldn't raise the money. And
Well, it's kind of like Chinese food. There's like so many just like independent restaurants that it's like a chain restaurant version of it. It just is. It's like, why even bother?
yeah, 'cause like the Mexican restaurant I used to go to, is really good. It's like everything's really good there. But you know, I don't go to restaurants anymore because we're just covered with viruses now.
No, it's like, did you guys watch or not watch? Did you guys see the list they put out for like the rating from 10 to 1 where the safest and most dangerous places to go right now are?
No.
So like okay, so if you go to a restaurant and go on a patio, that's like a 5. If you go to a restaurant and go inside, that's like a 7. But like going golfing's an 8, which doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that means like sharing the golf carts, like teeing off next to each other or something. I don't know.
Well, I
why
guess
that's an 8.
everyone would be touching the same hole. I guess maybe.
Okay, so orgies are definitely an 8 then.
Because I hear.
Concerts and.
Because I hear like essentially the big problem is like recirculated air.
Yeah. Because they talked about one of the first provinces in China it was in, of how that spread in a restaurant where basically people in line with the air conditioner all got it basically, and then also some people like diagonally, like way across the restaurant in the big restaurant where the air conditioner was also kind of like putting air off too. So anything with like recirculated air or tight packed places where you have to spend time next to people is not a good idea. Hence why work is wonderful.
Yeah, I'm debating just canceling my gym membership because I still like. I'm not going to the gym and it's not like I want to, but it's like I have to go to the gym at some point. But I'm like, I'm not going to the gym.
A gym was only like 5 or 6 surprisingly, which wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I don't know. That's recirculated air, and you're doing nothing but breathing hard in there. So, like, yeah, I just don't trust that.
No, I know. I got a friend I game with that was talking about his personal trainer he was working with the other day. And I was like, you're going to the gym right now? He's like, I have to. I'm paying so much money. So, and I was like, that's why I do meth. I'm paying so much money. I got to do the drugs. I can't just let him sit there.
Don't let that crystal get away.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't really agree with like going out anywhere right now. But there's plenty of people I know that keep going to bars or go to restaurants or go to gyms or just do generally normal shit they used to do.
Yeah, I didn't even know if that stuff was open because like I just been Grubhubbing for, the past, year. Which now I feel kind of guilty because like I know like apparently nobody makes money on Grubhub, but I still got to spend an extra $8 to make it happen.
Well, it's kind of like my relationship with Amazon. Like, well, I know they treat everyone like shit, but god damn, I need that freaking battery charger.
I just like the idea of like and it's even better now that there's the no contact stuff. It's like leave it by the door, send me a text. I never see a fucking person. It's awesome. Santa Claus came and brought me food.
Where do you order from with Grubhub anyway?
I used to order the was it Rock American Bar and Grill. I like some of their stuff there. Not everything's great, but there's a couple items on there. Like they do like a barbecue pulled pork burger that's pretty awesome. And then there's a new one because like now that I have like kind of new stuff that's close to me, so I've been doing some new stuff. There's like a Thomas Edison Bar and Grill or something that has some like interesting stuff there. It's kind of too expensive for what it is, but they have a loaded tots thing, so it's basically like it's like Aussie fries but with tater tots instead of steak fries.
Yeah, me and my wife thought about going there before the pandemic. We just didn't decide on going there because I couldn't decide if the menu was for me or not.
I don't know, like it's fine for what it is. It's kind of everything's is probably $1 more expensive than it should be, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't think you can eat out cheap in this town unless you like literally have just Subway or something anymore. So
I don't. There's this one called Runts Munches, which I'd never seen it before, but apparently my mom saw it and she laughed when I ordered from there because apparently it just seems like some place where people go to get high and eat burritos, but they sell a lot of weird, crazy shit there. There's one. It's basically like a hamburger burrito, where it's like they just take like everything you'd put on a hamburger and just wrap it up in a burrito, and then just like anything you want, you get fried, just like chicken egg rolls or Southwest chicken egg rolls or like sauerkraut and sausage egg rolls, just anything, just rolled up in an egg roll and fried. And I wouldn't say the stuff is good, but it's super fucking cheap and kind of interesting that it exists at all.
there was a woman out of Chicago that was doing that because she was on like a Vox news story about like the business bailout fund and stuff like that. How it went out so fast, like small businesses, there weren't small businesses and shit. And so it's like all she wanted was like $5,000 to keep her business afloat, and she couldn't even get $5,000 to get, because she made the same thing. She had like mac and cheese egg rolls, pulled pork egg rolls, like sweet and sour chicken egg rolls, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, seems like that's kind of a popular idea right now. So.
And then there's just and there's like surprisingly not many Chinese restaurants on there, probably because they're getting fucked by whatever Grubhub's doing. But there's a new one that popped up, so I've been getting Chinese from there. But it's weird. You have to order. They shut down between like 3 and 5, so you either have to order before 1 o'clock or like after 4 o'clock or something. I know.
Weird thing.
Yeah, well, I know restaurants that do that, like the Roscoe's that I take everyone to here. They do stuff like that. There's like a shutdown in the middle of the day where nobody's there.
Oh yeah, because I've since I go there all the time, stuff like that. Since I buy there, since my hobby shop's buy there, the guy that owns it, like he's owned it he had like a recent celebration of like 15 years owning it. And his son and his friends work there. Like he basically doesn't make a lot of money, so he doesn't open up over lunch and stuff like that because basically he doesn't have any customers. So. But I mean, do you see the news story about the guy for pizza? It was the guy who owned a pizza place in New York, and Grubhub listed them as a client, even though they never agreed to have their food listed.
Yeah.
So instead, since Grubhub had a pricing mistake on the thing, he just kept selling them pizzas and kept making like $5 more than he was supposed to make every time, but he never made the pizzas because he delivered them to himself or whatever, but he got like the transaction fee from Grubhub every time, so he made like a shit ton of money and they never shut him down. So
yeah, Grubhub and Uber Eats, those things, they're just like, right now all they're doing is just trying to get like venture capitalist money grab, and like they're looking to merge. Nobody's actually like, we're going to make money on this. No, it's just like a weird Ponzi scheme of like company evaluations.
It's the eternal proof of concept. It's like,
Yeah.
keep giving us money. We're gonna work this out.
well, because isn't the reason the restaurants don't want to work with them is basically because they want to. It's not just the fact you got to be able to pay the driver, which you're paying them basically with tip and like a small fee added on top of it, but also Grubhub wants their cut, so they basically take like 10 or 20% off the price, and that's what they get for ordering the food for you. So basically, the restaurant has to eat into their profit margin.
Yeah, well, there's also some stuff that Grubhub does that where like they list the prices higher than what they are at the actual restaurant, so then Grubhub gets more of the money.
Oh,
Wow.
great way to do
I've
business.
never done that. I've had pizzas delivered to my house before.
I mean, it's the same thing, but just like I've been getting Cold Stone Creamery, and so it's like I just get ice cream delivered to my door. It's like you couldn't do that before because like ice cream doesn't do deliveries unless you're doing some like weird birthday party where you're buying like 500 gallons or something.
Yeah.
But now you can, or you'd have to pick it up yourself. So.
For some reason, Happy Joe's delivers pints of ice cream now with pizza.
I can see that. I mean, that's what they do, right? It's like pizza and ice cream.
Yeah, well, they used to have like an ice cream parlor in every one of their stores, and now I think they have frozen yogurt machines. or whatever in their standalone stores, but I don't know if they're even open for inside customer business right now.
Yeah, I don't know yet. Yeah.
I know Red Lobster is because one of my coworkers was going there the other day for lunch after he got off early before the 4th of July. And I was like, I wanted to ask him, so that's how you want to die? I wanted Cheddar Bay biscuits.
You can make those at home now.
Oh, I know. I make them at home all the time because it's cheap as shit and they taste basically the same.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Now, if restaurants are open, is there any buffet that's open back up that you know of?
I haven't heard of anything. I mean, I've got an Irish Democrat like 5 times in the last like 2 months because they're only open for takeout and they do gangbuster business on takeout. So I have no idea who the hell is actually open right now for dine-in service.
Oh, okay. Because I know, like, yeah, Iowa's another state where it's like it seems like we seem to be following the rules somewhat, but also it seems like nobody necessarily gives a shit. So,
But every time I go to Walmart, all your coworkers don't have their mask over their nose.
not all of them, but yeah, that's yeah.
It's a shocking amount.
Well, yeah, I think your sister I saw on Facebook saying something. She went to Walmart and like the cashier didn't have the mask over her nose, and like she like licked her fingers to get the bag open.
Yeah.
I just walked away from that.
Yeah, it's not a good time because when I went to go get Last of Us 2 on Friday because I was going to install it while I was out of the house and shit. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go to electronics really quick. That should be, safe and simple bullshit. And neither one of the cashiers was wearing the mask over their nose, and they kept like touching their face all the time and just like, oh, okay, this is going to end well.
Hey, we got temperature checked. So
Oh.
yeah, we
Yeah,
have to fill out a survey and get temperature checked before we clock in.
Oh, you guys actually have to talk about symptoms and shit.
I just select no on the app and show somebody a green screen, and then they hit my forehead with a temperature check, and it's not 100, so it's like good to work.
Oh, yours is 100? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mine's like 99.5.
I gotta go do something on the computer, confirm my global ID, which is my payroll ID, my employer ID, and then I got to get an app thing, and it's a numbered code with a certain colored background. Depending, it changes all the time, and I have to show that to them, and then I get thermally scanned by some giant unit that they have, which someone told me they use it to check weld consistency and heat, and they just modified it for this. And it's like, that's true? It's like, well, yeah, they didn't want to buy the commercial units that could scan you because they're hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's like, we already do this shit with different equipment. So.
We just got those surface guns. You just like poop, which are probably wildly inaccurate. But
Well,
I guess.
there are
Yeah.
fake ones from China too.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
But no, I mean, I don't think I've seen anybody fail a temperature check at our facility, so I'm kind of wondering if we got one of the bogus ones from China because it is all in Chinese writing and shit like that on the box. So I wonder if my
I
company
mean,
actually...
that's the thing. Like, not everybody will get 100 temperature if they have it. So
Yeah.
it's just
We had a weird one at work where they were questioning a guy, and because I've seen people fail it, they'll send you to Henry Ford. If you fail the temperature check, they'll send you to Henry Ford, and you gotta then they'll give you a COVID test right away, and then you can either come back to work or not. We've never had anyone test positive for it. We've had people get turned away, but the one guy, they kept hitting his. They were doing a body scan because if you see it on the computer, it shows your whole body, and it shows like the red and orange spots, like where your heart and lungs and everything. It's kind of weird. His body temperature is 96 degrees. And they're like, this is showing it's only 96. And so they made him step out, step back in, step out, step back in. And then they're like, what if it's too low? And they were like talking amongst themselves. And finally they let him in because they called someone and they said, well, if its temperature is low, he's not because he's fighting a disease. So, but yeah, he went to his doctor and had to get some paper that says, yeah, this is my body temperature for some reason. I don't know why. I've never been 98, 99. I've always been 96. I was like, that's never heard of that. Okay, that's weird.
I guess I didn't think that was such a big deal because Isn't it supposed to be like when you're in the 70s or 80s, you're more like threat of like hypothermia or something, not like
Well, I think
96
that
degrees?
I think that'd be a problem because it seemed like your body is shutting down because there always has to be some kind of actively thermal something going on. But if that's not happening, it's like, oh, I guess you're dying.
I don't know. He's some old tool maker. I see him every day. He kind of jog walks in and jog walks out. He's not, not fat like me or anything. He's probably in late 60s, early 70s, but yeah, he's just like, that's always been my temperature, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I know, like when I would do the like usually I walk in, it's like 98 's the temperature I get. But I remember if I drink ice cold water and take a cold shower and walk in, it's usually like 96.
Yeah.
just just juking the system.
Well, they had guys that were trying to, because the first couple weeks we were open, if your temperature was high, immediately it was like, take 3 days, go to your doctor, you got to bring us something, but they'd pay you for it. So there were guys that were telling stories about, man, I was running my heater all the way into work. They're just trying to like juice their bodies. Now they got wise to that. Now you got to go to Henry Ford and get a COVID test. So it's like, boy, that never even crossed my mind. That's crazy. That's good job, fellas. Keep up the good work.
Well, yeah, because like at Walmart.
Well, you do work with a bunch of drug addicts.
At Walmart, if you got 100, they sent you home with pay. And like that sounds awesome, but also you have a 100-degree fever. That's probably not awesome.
Yeah.
No, but at least you guys got paid for that. I don't get paid for shit. I have to show a positive test result. Otherwise, all my time off is not covered, and I have to use my vacation if I have any left, which I don't. So I get not paid for because they were like, cause that's what happened a couple of weeks ago when my wife was sick. So I quarantined for a day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can show up to work tomorrow. You don't have any symptoms." And I was like, "What if I'm asymptomatic, asshole?" it's like, you want me to at least get a COVID test? They're like, "Oh no, you're fine." And it's like, "Oh Jesus fucking Christ!" And it was like, "Do you want me to at least wait until Thursday when my wife?" And so I talked with the HR guy about it because I'm like, "Your policy is shit because my wife got paid for the entire time she was off." As long as she showed a test result. Doesn't matter if it was positive, negative. She got paid because she did the right thing of quarantining and not infecting everybody else. And so it was just more or less, they won't. So now our policy is you have to test positive to get paid, and then you also have to test negative to come back. And that could obviously take longer because people's dead, virus cells are in there, and you test positive for longer than you're actually contagious. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. I only get paid for 2 weeks in total. And then after that, it's all, I get paid 40% disability. So they're like, that's really good.
My son got
sick like, oh,
at a grocery store.
Your son got what?
He got sick at a grocery store, and he went and got a test, and it was negative, and they told him to stay off work for 2 weeks, and they paid him. He actually made more money being off work and that was at a grocery store. I don't know why your work isn't doing that.
Oh, I don't know either because they're basically fucking assholes. They want you to come in no matter what. It doesn't matter if you... Because they used to ask until like 3 weeks ago. They stopped asking about symptoms. They're just like, oh, your temperature's okay. You can come into work. And it's like, don't you care if I have a cough or, I've been to the hot spot you guys are talking about? And like they finally started talking about hot spots again. But when I talk to HR about how often he gets updated about these things, once a month, the beginning of the month, he gets updated about hot spots and what they're doing. He doesn't read that email till usually the 15th and 16th of the month. So, okay, so the CDC, like anything, like all the cities that like have dramatic upticks in cases. So like right now, like West Des Moines, Waterloo, and Dubuque are all hot spots. So it's like, have you been to any of these cities after yesterday? And he's like, no. So they just want you to, because if you have, then you have to quarantine again. And then you don't get paid. So it's like, why would I say I've been to any of these cities? Yeah. But, oh, fuck, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, our union election just happened. And that was a fucking shit show.
Oh, really? That was transparent and fair?
No, not at all. All right, so there's two guys that won that, because I voted for people that supposedly, wanted to have a good contract and, do all this shit. Nobody won besides people that are basically kiss assholes to the old union board, which, yeah, makes sense. but one guy won with the majority of the votes, like the most votes anybody got for the committee for negotiating our contract this year. He turns in everybody for doing anything. He tries to get everybody fired all the time, and he won by a landslide. It's like how the fuck?
Process.
And then two other guys, they didn't want anything to do with the union, but they know if they're on the union, they can't be laid off, so they just apply to the union to do that. and so none of the, one of them is our head steward, and then the other guy is also on the committee. So we have two people on the committee that everybody either hates or doesn't want to be there. So we got three people to negotiate our contract. Two of those people don't care, and then the other guy doesn't really care because he's retiring next year anyway. And then the head steward doesn't care either because he just did it because he's doing it as a favor to somebody else, and he just wants to sit at meetings and not get fired. So it's a wonderful election.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. Anyway, have any of the rest of you played Last of Us 2 at all?
Yeah, I gave a whole spoiler cast last.
Last
episode.
podcast.
Yeah, because Nathan doesn't have a PS4, nor will he get one, so I had to ruin both.
Oh.
I had to tell Nathan the entire story of all of The Last of Us, both of them.
Oh, okay.
So
Because I just played up till the point where Joel dies and they go to Seattle today because I just started playing it, so I didn't. I'm sorry for anybody watching the podcast. Spoilers.
Well, I'm Dad.
So far it's been a really solid game, and I know people are really complaining about it because somebody I ran into yesterday was saying he was going to have to play through the first 2 hours for his kid. His kid's 10, and he's letting his kid play that game, and it's like, that's a really violent game. I don't know if that's a... He's like, oh, because they have lesbian sex scenes with nudity in it. And I was like playing through the first 2 hours. I'm like, where the fuck's the nudity? And there's really no lesbian sex scene. They have sex, but they don't do it on screen.
there is one sex scene, but it's not between lesbians.
Oh. So, I mean, I don't know if he just got misinformed or what the fuck, but he was like, oh, I gotta play for the first 2 hours so my son doesn't see that. And it's like, oh, but after that he can stab people in the eye or slit their throat or shoot them point blank in the head. That's totally okay.
He can beat people to death with hammers, but I don't want him seeing no lesbians. Yeah,
That'll ruin him.
glad to know everything's in shape for you at your house.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game. It's weirdly, the way I described it is it's weirdly effective because there's like parts of the game where it's like I just don't want to play the game anymore, and not because it's bad, it's because like I just don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with the story, and they're like really upsetting me.
Oh.
It's mostly stuff like, are they gonna make me kill Ellie? Like that's what it feels like. I'm like, I don't want to fucking play this. I don't want to find out. I guess the game ends here.
But, okay, so most of the spoiler-free reviews that I watched, because I watched 3 of them, none of them really complained about the story that much. They were more tired of how the combat didn't seem that like it was that great in the game, and that's what they were most stuck on.
I think the combat's good. The only problem I had is that every combat encounter I did all incurred within like a 20-foot radius. I just waited for everybody to come to me and I killed them all. And then like as I'm walking through everything, like I see like all this shit they put up where it's like, oh, this would have been a cool extended combat encounter if I like snuck through this wall crack here and moved over here and threw a Molotov cocktail. But like I never had to do any of that stuff. I just stood behind a table and killed everyone. If things went sideways, like you can like still kill everybody. So I only had to do that if things went sideways.
Oh, because so far, besides the whole running away from a giant horde thing, I've still killed everything in the game because it's so easy to. You don't even have to use your bullets. You can just stockpile the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've used it more in that situation, but I hated the fucking gondola fight scene because I had 1 crowbar left and 5 bullets, and that was not enough to get through that fucking fight.
And that's like 10 minutes in the game. That's probably one of the most frustrating combat encounters in the game. Cause I do that like 8 fucking times. Cause like the clicker would just come out of nowhere and insta kill you, and it's like, oh, time to do the whole sequence over again.
Okay, so one time I did shoot it in the face with a pistol, so I stunned it, so I was able to actually beat it to death with my fist. So I did the same thing next time, And then I didn't get stunned, so it just instantly ate me. So it was like 6 or 7 times through. I was like, oh yeah, cool, I finally did it. And then the whole scene of like, most of it was kind of a waste because it's like, okay, now we're just gonna kill Joel and probably his brother in the fucking house and all this other shit, and just like, fuck. So I'm really hyped for the rest of the game, but at the same time, it's like I don't know what to expect from it. But at the same, people keep seeming pissed because they didn't think they needed a sequel to it, but I'm fine with it because I don't think it's a bad part of it.
No, I think it's extremely well done for what it is. It's also, if I say if there's one game that never needed a sequel, it was The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I think it's effective. If you're invested in these characters, this is a very effective. Like, because you're gonna have like I was choking up talking about the game last week. Like, that's how effective it is. It's also too long, but you're not. It kind of needs to be that length because there's multiple character arcs that you're gonna go through, and one is like they're both important, but you have to experience them both. So it's weird.
Oh.
And there was some great commentary because there's like a third bit to the game that kind of seems. There's I read a great article about it where it basically describes how unnecessary the third act is because of things they do previously. And it's like, that didn't come to my mind that was a problem. But so yeah, don't go seeking out problems. Just have fun with the game. Oh, actually,
no,
be prepared to be really bummed, and then have fun playing the game.
I guess I didn't think her quest of revenge on really outnumbered in a location she doesn't know was going to go exactly well, I guess. But, I mean, I've already been bummed by, like, Joel dying because that was really fucking heartbreaking, but also just, like, her reaction to it.
I'll tell you this. That's probably the most heartbreaking thing, but, like The Walking Dead, it's like, well, what new bad, horrible thing can happen? And that's The Last of Us Part 2.
So do you think it's going to be like the first one where they do like a little tiny like DLC thing for it or anything like that? Or
I don't know. They might.
Because I don't think it has a multiplayer aspect to it this time, does it?
I heard rumors that they're working on one. It's just not out yet.
Okay, because the first one released with it was actually pretty good for a multiplayer game for them. Because Uncharted is always released with one. So I kind of figured like they would probably do one for this again, but I didn't hear anything about it. So.
Yeah, I just don't know like with how production cycles are right now. So I don't know what they're working on and what they can accomplish in however amount of time. But it seems he's selling well for them. So they got money. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, isn't it like the top selling game right now? It like surpassed Animal Crossing for the month.
Yeah, they sold at least 4 million copies. I know that, and however more they've sold on top of that now.
Well, because I know the Switch has been advertising they've been selling a shitload more consoles and a lot more Animal Crossing. I haven't bought the game yet because I don't know if I'll actually play it or not.
I'll give you a hint. You probably won't. It's fun. It's fun, like kitschy aesthetics for what it is, especially like when everything gets all bummer. It's a nice game to play, but it's also just like a game you hop in, you do your chores, and you get out, and you kind of like. You gotta really be into like I want new wallpaper for my house, and if that's not your thing, it's not a game where playing the game is actual fun. It's about doing stuff and collecting things.
That's kind of what I took away from the quick looks on that game, where it was like, I think my wife might like it because it has like some design and like design your life attitude to it, but I don't like that type of shit. So yeah, I probably like it.
If you like Sims 4 or just Sims in general, it's like that but lighter. And if you don't like Sims, then you're not going to like Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I'm okay with Sims. It's just every time I look at that game, I'm like, I don't want to spend $60 on that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I just stopped playing it. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I just stopped playing it at some point because it's one of those games. It's one of those games. It's not like you can't just sit there and play it for 20 hours and accumulate everything. You have to like at some point stop playing the game and wait till tomorrow because things refresh literally on like a new date and at specific times, and like new things happen because of the date or what time it is, and like So I know there's like a turnip trading thing where you make turnips and there's like a stock market for it, but it only occurs on Sundays, and I've never seen it because I'm at work on Sundays, so I've never seen this whole part of the game that's supposed to be like this huge stock trading where you meet other players and do all this shit. Like I've never seen it because I don't play it on Sundays.
Yeah, maybe at some point, if not like it's gonna go on sale. It'll probably remain $60 forever.
It's a Nintendo game, so it will never go on sale.
But I mean, at the same time, I don't think Nintendo has any other big releases coming out for a while now.
They do.
Oh, Paper Mario, right?
There's that. And oh shit, there's 2 games I want to get. Did you ever play that Bloodstained Curse of the Moon? The 2D.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I did.
The old school one, the one that looks like an NES.
Yeah.
So there's a sequel coming out on the 10th.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And then the other game coming out on the 10th is Deadly Premonition 2.
Oh. Maybe.
Now,
Like-
I've never played Deadly Premonition because, by all accounts, it's a terrible game to play. But man, the Twin Peaks enthusiasm behind that game is so it just warms my heart. Because Giant Bomb, when they played that game, they did the endurance run of it. They did 2 playthroughs of it, and like almost every year, I watch both playthroughs at some point.
Is that the only is it coming out for every platform or just the Switch?
No, just the Switch.
Wow, that's a really limiting move. Because didn't it come out on the Xbox and the PlayStation last
Oh,
time?
it came out everywhere. Like I think it actually came
okay.
out. It actually came out on the 360, I think, and then it's been ported everywhere. But yeah.
Okay, because I know like the huge expanse of that game, like how many hours you could sink into it and just like exploring the town and like doing side quests and shit seemed like a legitimate aspect of that game.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Switch is gonna be really great with that. So.
Oh well, neither was the game originally. I mean, it's a game that was on the 360 and it looked like it was a PlayStation 1 game.
Well, at least like as long as they keep the same graphics, it might run well, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how well it'll run. All I'm really interested in is for the atmosphere and the story. Like I don't expect that game to play well at all, but I want to play it because that guy makes weird fucking games.
I guess, I mean, until you announced it, I never knew they were actually trying to make a sequel to that, I guess, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a budget game when it came out, and I think it did well for what it was, because it was a budget title, and for a budget title, it's like a 40 to 60 hour game. So there's some value there, but it also played terribly. But.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe they made some improvements on that part of it, but at the same time, I wouldn't expect that. So
yeah, I don't know if it's the same people making it. I know it's the same director, but I'm not sure if it's the same necessarily the studio or the same people that made the original. I think it's just the same guy.
Oh, so maybe it changed studios. That's actually better production value, maybe.
Oh, we'll see. Because I think why it's on Nintendo exclusively is because Nintendo put money behind it.
Oh.
But if it's
No, because the only thing I was looking forward to recently was Paper Mario, but don't think that comes out till towards the end of the year now.
I thought it came out in July. Actually, I don't know. So
Let's see. Because I was kind of looking forward to that, but at the same time, like I have the other Mario game, and I barely play it.
Oh, what's the other Mario game that you're barely playing?
The one that came out with the Switch, like the Super Mario World or whatever.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't like that, or it just didn't catch you?
It's just not as catchy as I thought it would be.
Oh.
Okay, I guess it is. I guess it is this month, July 17th.
Okay. Yeah.
Not that far from now, actually.
Yeah, it's July. Yay! Time is infinite and not at the same time.
And hot. Very fucking hot.
Very fun.
Yeah.
How hot is it in Michigan right now?
Oh, it's mid-90s.
Okay. Is it always hot and humid up there too?
Usually it's more humid than this. We're having those weird low humidity days. Those are coming. It just has to rain. But yeah, So, but it's just really hot. Like, yeah, uncomfortably. There's a lot.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be in the 90s the rest of the week for Cedar Rapids. It looks like.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 90. Oh, what is it gonna be? 90. Like mid 90s. And then, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's gonna be 96, 99 on Thursday. That'll be comfortable for everyone.
Speaking of temperature, we watched The Five Bloods. No.
Yes.
The Five Bloods.
Watched a movie this week. Spike Lee's The Five Bloods.
Not labeled a Spike Lee joint, or is it? I don't remember it being so.
I don't remember. I mean, it was kind of a weird movie to watch. I like Delroy Lindo. I always have. He did a great job in this movie. But it almost seemed like two different movies that kind of split in the middle.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you mean, like two different movies? Like the way they go to like different times and they're completely different, like aspect ratios and looks, or something else?
No, it's like the story took a turn.
Oh yeah.
Like
once the story gets violent, it gets weird.
Yeah, it like became. It's like, oh, is this going to be this guy's like Heart of Darkness quest to find this gold and some kind of redemption for his PTSD? I'm talking about the Delroy Lindo character. Yeah, and then this is going to turn into kind of a dark comedy action film halfway through, with a lot of interesting historical stuff, but that seems kind of horned in. Like weirdly, you're watching this movie, and all of a sudden, we're going to have a history lesson, it was interesting, but it was I don't know, it's kind of a weirdly paced and put together movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also weirdly,
No research on this, so I don't know, the back.
well, weirdly, at some point, Oliver Stone was attached to this, which actually like makes more sense in the way, because this kind of has like that kind of like JFK Natural Born Killers kind of editing to it, where it's like switching different film formats and has like a bunch of weird interstitials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And originally this was all just, it was, it's a script that's been kicking around for a while. And then when Spike Lee and his writing guy got a hold of it, then they changed. It was just 4 white guys before, and then they changed it to all black, which I think is a good change because it makes it far more interesting than what it would have been otherwise.
Yeah.
Because then you add Vietnam, but you add civil rights movements, and that just adds a lot more to this movie than it would have otherwise. Because like a weird thing here is like how they they fought the war in Vietnam, and now they're back, and like Vietnam's this weird tourist attraction. It's like, who really won the war? It's with
I like the one line at the beginning of the movie where it was like, God damn, we didn't even go over here. Just sent over the Colonel, McDonald's, and Pizza Hut. We would have won this shit. So, I like the movie a lot for a lot of the small things it did. I didn't really like the changes in film technique, basically, where it goes to like, it seemed like all the flashbacks were really lighthearted, almost kind of like there was violence, but it was weird violence.
Well, yeah, it's cartoon. It's shot like a B movie. It's not like a 70s B action, a B movie 70s action movie. That's what it looks like. Because like the sound design is different, the violence is different. Because you look at the violence in the flashback versus the violence in the later in the movie, it's like the violence of the flashbacks are almost like kind of like funny. Like it's like, oh, this is what old action movies used to look like. And then the violence at the end of the movie, it's like, oh, this is disheartening and horrible.
Like Delroy Lindo really did a good job with his part. Like you really believe he was batshit fucking insane most of the movie. Yeah. And he did a really good fine wire act with that.
He has to do the impossible thing is like talking to the camera for like 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Always walking up a hill on him. He's basically like breaking the fourth wall almost.
And then oh fuck, I just completely forgot my point.
But I like how their plan basically hinged on 4 old guys going into the jungle, carrying out all that weight of gold with a guy with hip problems, a fat guy, and a crazy guy, and then just a rich guy that has a pigeon toe, and they're all going to walk. And until his son shows up, and it's like, that's actually a good thing, because you might actually have somebody that can actually carry some shit.
Oh.
the fucking jungle.
And I love that they just have the same actors for the flashback as they do in the normal movie. Like, we're just kind of the
Yeah.
old guys in the flashback as the younger versions of themselves, but we're not going to de-age them or anything. It's just going to be them. and then Chadwick Boseman, because he died in Vietnam, he's the same age. So that was a... And like I saw something that said like that was intentional because like when they remember it, they always remember him at that same age and then they just remember themselves as the age they are. So that's a thematic thing, or maybe they just didn't have the money to de-age them, or maybe they never were in the first place. You don't know.
Yeah.
There's kind of a fun amateur quality to this where they're just trying things, which is why I love Spike Lee. It's like he's always trying something. So that's why, you get him to do a movie like this, because it could have just been a boring, straightforward, like, treasure hunting movie, and he made it much more than than its script.
Well, technically, he didn't even need an ending fight theme because they could have ended that at the fucking road where they had the first confrontation with the officers or whatever that shot at them. Because they just like walk out casually without even looking around to like inspect the bodies of their people that fell down. It was like I just would have laid in the bush by the side of the road and gunned them all down there. It could have been the end of the movie. Like nobody else had to die.
And I felt weirdly bummed when I saw Jean Reno because like, is that Jean Reno? I was like, no, he's too fat to be Jean Reno. It's like, no, that's Jean Reno.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I haven't seen him in a movie for like 15 years. So
He's like in his
Does he-
70s now.
yeah.
Does he do television and stuff in France, or just like he just doesn't?
Oh,
do
yeah,
anything?
he's still doing a lot of work, but I'm trying to think of like the last major movie I saw him in. That was probably like Ronin.
Yeah.
I mean, well, actually, the last thing I remember is like early 2000s. They did a remake of some like time traveler night movie they did in France, but they remade it for America. That was the last thing I remember him. I remember seeing commercials for that movie. And I think that also came out around the same time as that Kate and Leopold movie. So they basically just ate each other's lunch, and neither of them were successful.
No.
Yeah,
Because I haven't seen him in anything since Ronin, so I guess I kind of forgot about him because like he's been in a lot of movies I like, so it's not a bad actor. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, well, I just
It's
remember him as being like the svelte French guy, balding, looking all cool, holding a Beretta, like that dude, and not this like pudgy billionaire who's wearing a dirty MAGA hat.
Yeah.
I like how nobody seemed to be pissed as much about the MAGA hat as the actual people that knew him were. Like if the Vietnam people didn't really care about it, and neither did the French guy. But they did do a lot of nice talking about how Trump was awful in the movie a couple times. And that was nice.
Well, that's actually like if you had a black character who's like for Trump, and that because like I don't know if that was in the original script, but that was just a white guy. That'd just be a boring character you forget, but because he's black, it's like, well, this is interesting. I don't know how to deal with this. And then they do that weird joke where they just cut to Trump, and then there's like that one smiling black guy in front of every Trump rally, and they cross out his eyes to hide his identity. That was good.
Yeah. I mean, it was a movie that the things I liked about it were performance driven.
Yeah.
The story I liked the story. I just think they made it too fanciful almost, and it kind of changed its course weirdly.
Yeah.
Which I like that. I mean, you can't remake Apocalypse Now. That's already been done, so I understand that. But it's like I just wish we could have kept to one theme, because they obviously didn't have bad actors, and but it just seemed, I don't know, it was very disjointed.
Well, it's one of those movies where it's like it's not about getting the gold; it's the journey along the way.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed Black Klansman a lot more, and I don't think I'll watch Five Bloods ever again. It's one of those movies where I feel like I can watch it once and be done with it.
Yeah.
Like, not that I don't think there's probably stuff maybe I didn't notice or might be under the surface, but I don't think there's that much to come back for.
I don't know. I mean, there'd be interesting stuff to come back for, just like all the different. Because there's like something like because they don't just like cut to like the, do 4x3 like and like kind of have the grindhouse look for the flashbacks. There's also stuff where the guy has like a like an 8mm camera, and like there's that stuff where it's like you can see the sprocket for the film on the side.
Yeah.
And like kind of look for like, I don't know what that's about. I'm like, there's probably a meaning I can look for in there. Like I could watch this movie more deeply and try to find more things there if I wanted to. So
Well, a lot of footage of the Vietnam War was taken on cameras like that.
yeah,
And that's some of the most famous stuff was taken on really small Super 8 cameras. And that's what they were good at, like recreating the past.
No, and I think it's more maybe his way of like trying to, because they're going back for Storm and Norman's corpse and stuff like that, and there's basically they're back in country and they're going to war again in Vietnam, so maybe it's just kind of a way of blending the past and the future through a medium in the movie with the footage from that camera and him bringing it. So I never really, who the fuck was carrying his remains? You hear the clinking of the gold all the time, but like they pick up Storm Norman's remains, you see that in the end of the movie, like, oh yeah, he's getting buried finally. Who the fuck has his remains?
Well, I was just reading some synopsis, and it made it sound like they had a different group go back and get his remains.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I don't remember.
Because there is that nice touching scene where they're all crying over him and like, oh, we finally found you. You can come back to your sisters. And then it's like after that, they're just all concerned about the gold. And they don't even give a shit about his corpse.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, he must not be with him then, because otherwise I don't know what the fuck's going on.
But yeah, one of the better Netflix movies we've watched. So
Yeah, for Netflix movies, this was pretty high grade.
Yeah, I actually already watched the next week's movie.
Oh, okay.
It's actually better than I thought it would be.
That's what I heard. So
Song of Ice and Fire. Oh, no, that's not Song of Ice. And Fire. Something like it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, do you know what Eurovision is?
No.
Okay.
Singing contest or something.
Yes, but it like involves like basically everybody except for America. I mean, yeah, it's essentially just like America's Got Talent, but for a singing competition across country. But there's like all these weird politics behind it. There's lots of weird songs from all countries. ABBA is probably the most famous thing that came out of Eurovision.
Okay. This has been going on a long time.
Yes.
Over there. Okay.
It's only been like, I think it's only been like recently where there's like kind of like ways that's being brought to America, but they're not Americanizing it. It's just kind of like, here it is. Because I think you can get it broadcast basically in any language, but there is like a British version of it you can watch, so they'll explain everything. But it's very wacky and crazy. And
is this something like Will Ferrell's wife told him about, and he's like, "Yeah, let's do this."
probably, I don't know.
She's from Sweden, right?
I don't know. I don't know his wife.
Yeah, I think his wife's like. I think his mom's like her mom's like a big politician over there or something. I remember I heard that once. Never followed up.
So remember one year there was like the Israeli contestant was like, he kind of looked like Jesus, but he was transgendered, so it was like beer and boobs and some big song, and then like they had a whole problem with like, people are mad about Israeli being in the contest at all, and it's like there's a lot of things that goes into Eurovision. So here you'll get a comedic version of it.
Good.
Because I think it got canceled this year. I'm not sure.
Oh. Well, I mean, it makes sense with all the lockdown stuff. So I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say there's two. So this movie, The Five Bloods we watched today, I actually called two things before they happened on screen, even though it didn't make any sense for me to call that early. I called it Daryl Lindo like killed fucking Norman or whatever. He seems so like broken up by it and like seems so oddly out of place. And it's like, oh, well, I mean, he didn't like kill him purposely, but I mean, he still didn't kill him.
Yeah, that was the only debate I had is like whether he killed him purposely or. So that's I didn't. That's the only debate I had. I didn't know if he, but then it seemed better when he he killed him by accident. So, which seemed better.
There's two things in Eurovision that I called pretty early too, like what happens to the other contestants when they enter the competition in Iceland, and also what, you see in the trailers, like the Russian guy that's like the other person pining for his love interest's infection or whatever.
Yeah.
And he has like a song where it's like he says he's a lion on the hunt for love, but he has like a bunch of men with like no clothing on dancing around him all the time. It's like, he's gay. like, like he keeps like having all these euphemisms like, I'm a lion and I can't find a mate. I've been searching all over, and it's like, I just want love. Or it's like, yeah, he's gay. So I'll spoil that part of the movie for you, I guess. Not that it's like a huge thing or anything, but other than that, like, yeah, there's really nice.
Just look for the obvious gay innuendo.
Well, there's a part in that movie where I think Will Ferrell's character should be arrested for murder and spend the rest of his life in jail. But that doesn't happen either, so technically. But I think you guys will appreciate that movie. It's just like a fun, good time. It's not like a good movie as its cinematic merit. It's just a fun time.
It would be nice to see like a fun Will Ferrell movie again.
It's actually quite long. It's like slightly over 2 hours long.
Huh. Okay.
So it's gonna. I think it'll drag just a tiny bit just because of that. But I didn't know the Five Bloods was as long as it was either, with 2.5 hours long. So I also watched King of Staten Island yesterday.
Is that good?
Yeah, it was a really good movie. It was really well written, and it doesn't. I thought it was gonna tread different ground a little bit, but actually, it didn't. It didn't. It wasn't the same redemption type story you've seen before, where it's basically like, oh yeah, he just immediately turns his act around and gets better and everybody loves him again. It's a lot more grinded out than that.
More nuanced.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it has really good dialogue and it has really good characters in it, and he's fucking hilarious in that fucking movie. Because he's trying to be like a tattoo apprentice or whatever, so he goes into a tattoo shop and he's like asking this guy, he's like, well, because he works at a restaurant where he has to, battle for tips every night and stuff like that. So he wants a better job, and so he wants to be a tattoo apprentice. So he goes to this shop in like New Jersey or some shit, and this guy is like, well, I don't know, man. You'll probably just be our bitch. He's like, well, how much money do I make? And he's like, nothing. It's like, you'll just be our bitch for like months or years until you finally get good enough. And then he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, well, you're already questioning me, so you don't got the job. And he's like, well, just asking, just for, future, if I'm going to ever be a tattoo artist, is it okay to have the Confederate Grim Reaper on somebody's chest, if somebody wanted that? Or, it's just like, hey, his friend Jake died, and he wants like a stupid memorial on his chest next to the Confederate Grim Reaper. That's exactly like the tattoos the guy, like muscle-bound guy, has on his chest. And he's like, that seems kind of, I don't know if Jake would like that. It seems kind of, he's next to a racist figure. And so the guy's like, I'm going to fucking kick your ass, and chases him out of the fucking shop. So that was pretty good. But yeah, it was definitely worth the $20 to watch it.
So is that a rental or do you own it now?
No, rental. It's just it's their whole, because I did that once with that Purge type movie with like the liberals getting purged instead of the conservatives. Basically.
Oh, was that like The Hunt or something?
Yeah, because that's the only other movie I paid the whole $20 for, to basically see it in theaters at home. So,
I bought Bloodshot. I never watched it.
Oh.
Because I liked the trailer, but then it got eviscerated in the reviews, and I guess that just bummed me out. It's like, well, maybe I shouldn't just watch this, even though I spent money on it. But that one I just own. It wasn't a rental.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say you can get it on Redbox for like $1 a night or something now if you wanted. So I mean, has anybody watched The Invisible Man?
No, but I heard good things.
My wife.
So did I, but I also heard really mixed reviews.
Yeah, my wife liked it.
Oh, okay.
She said it was kind of effective and scary.
Because is that part of Universal's dark universe shit?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe I know, but the person that's doing it's Blumhouse, which they do a lot of horror stuff of varying quality, but their stuff is usually pretty good. So I think like this, so they might be taking on the dark universe, but like with a more. Because they usually make very small movies. Like I think that made that movie for like $14 million or something like that. So they'll be doing. I think they'll be doing the Marvel monster stuff on a budget if they continue to do it.
Oh, okay. Because you can rent it now for pretty cheap. So I was just like, maybe I should watch that. And because like Sonic the Hedgehog is like $2 to rent now on Xbox Live. Because apparently that's how bad that movie is. But every time I watch the trailer, I'm like, I never want to see.
I hear it's not as bad as you think it is.
I know, but it's just like I hate the concept of like, why does this need to be a movie? It doesn't need to be a movie.
Well, it's
Like,
because
it's total-
it's name recognition. That's all it is. So.
Well, I know, and I don't know. It's just something where it's like it's like they made Mortal Kombat the movie again, which they are doing again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, will I pay to see that a second time around? Because I don't know if I want to.
We'll see if that Uncharted movie gets made. I think they're on their like 9th director now.
Oh Jesus!
Permanent development.
I liked when that
No.
at some point they were thinking about like maybe we should just have Nathan Fillion do this, being that Nathan Drake looks exactly like Nathan Fillion, but I guess they're balking at his age or something.
So what? You can just have it set later on in his life or whatever. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, well the current Nathan Drake is supposed to be who's the Spider-Man? Is that Tom Holland or whatever?
Yeah.
That's the current Nathan Drake. And at
Oh,
one
that's
point
kinda-
at one point it was Mark Wahlberg, so at least it's not that.
Yeah, no, yeah. At least it's not Mark Wahlberg because that would really fucking.
I mean,
suck, but-
he would physically embody it better. Like I could buy Mark Wahlberg hanging off with something with one hand, but I couldn't buy him like being an archaeologist.
Look at the sediment on this rock. It's clearly 1,000 years. Like, no, he doesn't know that.
Speaking of work,
But like Tom Holland does have like the acrobatics background. I think that would actually go well with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I don't know if he has the frame to play that though.
I don't know. Nathan Drake's really small. If you
Oh.
because he was a circus performer or whatever or some shit like that. No.
Oh,
Anyway,
well, I mean, you could do a lot of early life stuff where he's learning from Sully and stuff like that. And do kind
Yeah.
of like a. I mean, I think that would be a successful movie because you don't really have a lot of early stuff in the video game except for the last one. So
yeah, because I think they're getting who's the guy from Evil Dead? They're gonna have him be Sully.
Oh, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fucking awesome. Hell yeah.
Anyways, Nathan, you were saying something?
oh, speaking of Mark Wahlberg, it's kind of off topic. I was watching Netflix. I watched that Patriots Day,
Yeah.
Oh.
the bombing,
Yeah.
and I was like pleasant. Well, I learned something because I didn't know that much about that. I knew those two guys like did those bombs, and the police were chasing them for a couple days. I didn't realize, like, the movie's actually pretty interesting. I didn't realize how insanely violent those guys were when the police cornered them. Like, they were throwing bombs. They blew up 3 police cars and they killed a cop, shot several others. And I didn't realize how crazy that story was. I just,
Huh.
it's like, it's like, oh yeah, the Boston Bombers, the Tsarnaev brothers, and they caught them. And I had no idea, like, how vicious those guys were when the police, because they made a bunch of like pipe bombs and stuff, and because the police corner him after they killed a cop to try to get his gun, because they only had one gun and they couldn't successfully get it, and then they stole this Chinese guy's car, and he ran away from him at a gas station, but that for some reason this Chinese guy knew the GPS ID number of his, because it was like a Mercedes SUV, and he told the cops right away, it's like, it's this GPS number. And Mark Wahlberg was, of course, he was kind of a composite character of a lot of cops at that time, and he was like, how'd you know the GPS number? He's like, I don't know. But so anyway, they go out on the radio, they corner these guys, and they start throwing bombs and shooting at the police, and it's like, it's an insane, like, violent, crazy shootout, and it's like, oh, I didn't know this went on. I just thought they did the Boston bombing. I thought they cornered them, and now, I don't know how much of it was done for the movie and how much of it really happened, but it seemed to be a movie that followed the story fairly closely, and they had all the actual people on at the end, because Mark Wahlberg didn't play a real person; he was just like kind of the typical Boston cop guy in the middle of this. But other people were actually like real people, and they had them all together at the end. And I was like, oh, this movie is surprisingly entertaining and engaging. I thought it seemed kind of silly at first, like, why are we making a movie about this like so soon after it happened? And I watched it and I was like, oh, this is nuts. I didn't know this went on. I had no idea.
Well, they did that after the Deepwater Horizon one, so I kind of like balked at watching another one of those. But
So, yeah, it's actually good. Check it out. I mean, it's
Huh.
not. It manages to keep your interest, and it involves you in because again, I knew people died and stuff, but I just didn't like. That was something I didn't really hone in on. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's horrible. I hate that. But I didn't really follow up, and it's like, oh, these people are nuts.
Well, I guess.
And that's too that one of the brothers, because she would not respond to any interrogation techniques they used. And then at the end of it, it's like she's not in jail yet, and she still has custody of her kid. I'm like, what? They built the bombs in her house. Like they found all the bomb making stuff. It's like, why is this? She's not in jail, but whatever. But yeah. So anyway, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I put it in the same class as like the Twin Towers movie, where it's just like that just seems like you're profiting off disaster. So I never wanted to watch those movies because it set a bad precedent for Hollywood because they're just basically trying to profit off other people's death and misery.
I mean, there's that, but like all the people involved are like from Boston, like Mark Wahlberg and the director. What's
Peterberg?
Peterberg?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's the same crew that did the fucking what's the movie we watched for the Netflix one, Spencer Confidential.
Yeah.
It's like the same crew.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because that's another that was in Boston too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When people have the indecipherable accents and stuff, it's like, yeah, these guys are all from Boston. But and John Goodman was in this. He did a good job as like the chief of police or whatever. So yeah, I was watching this movie. I was like, oh, this is a lot better. I would have just passed on this. I was in the middle of like doing something. I was like, I'll check this out and see if it's any good. And it's like I watched the whole, and I was like, Stacy, come here and look at this. I didn't know this shit went on. This is crazy. So yeah, check it out. It's actually a good movie.
Okay, so there's something because I was just researching something while you were talking. Or about did anybody else hear somebody had this fucking theory or supposedly old story about George Floyd like breaking into some woman's house and like beating the shit out of her or raping her or whatever.
Yeah.
And that justified him getting killed. And I was like, I never fucking heard about that.
I saw a post, but I didn't see any
evidence.
Yeah, I just thought like this. Oh, is this propaganda or is this real? And I never found out, and it just disappeared. So I don't.
Yeah, if I'm not seeing that like from a reputable news source, I'm not even gonna click on it. It's like I don't know what wormhole this is gonna take me down, but I'm probably gonna wind up on someone's lists. So I don't go to Infowars for my news. So whatever. I mean, it could be true. I don't know, but I don't. Apparently, he was out and not in jail, so I don't think he could have done stuff like that and not done a long prison term. But then again, I don't know.
I saw that Chappelle 846 thing too.
What's that one?
He did like a. Well, I don't know if it's really a comedy set, but yeah, it's about George Floyd and how weirdly the number 8 minutes and 46 seconds like is really important to Dave Chappelle in a bunch of weird ways.
Huh. Yeah, genius, so I could see him at a thing.
And there's like nice stuff where it's like he's kind of parodying like people talking about like why aren't you out there saying stuff, and he's like, I'm letting the streets do the talking. They don't need me to do shit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of been the there's been that stuff where like these celebrity fails where they try to like when they did the Imagine thing and that completely failed, and there's this new I take responsibility thing that's also kind of like just falling on their face. It's like, no, we don't need celebrities to like inform us, like just letting the movement speak for themselves.
Yeah, there's plenty of resources you can find if you want to read about this stuff. I could read that book we read last week. I mean, that's like, there's not a lot of exciting, how would I say, there's not a lot of exciting catchphrases you can post on social media in that book, but it definitely explains like, oh yeah, this is why things are this fucked up right now, because of how we, do policing and what the goals of policing are, which are completely, you think it's like, oh, well, they want to do this, this, and that. And it's like, well, no. It's actually a lot weirder than that and more ineffective.
All right, so the only thing I found about researching a little bit this entire time listening to you guys was, okay, he was arrested for aggravated robbery and assault in Texas and was released in 2014. and he broke into a woman's house, pointed a gun at her belly, and told, asked for jewelry and cash and shit. So then he moved to Minneapolis and was trouble free until he supposedly passed the counterfeit $20 bill, and that's why he was getting arrested or had a warrant or whatever. And so, but at the same time, it's like, I can't find one reputable news site that isn't like, oh yeah, he was a complete piece of shit and everybody hated him, and everybody else is like, oh, this is just his arrest record and he was fine and trying to start a new life and basically killed for no reason. So it's like, oh, okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff gets so murky. People ask me, like, let's have a challenging conversation about this. Nope. Not.
Why not?
Let's not. No, I like my job. I'm not here for that. I'm here to load things, take things from one place and load them to another. You want to have crazy conspiracy theory debates about this out loud, you find somebody else, because I'm not doing it.
Oh, yeah, and I posed a question in our thing is about like what do you think the Venn diagram on anti-maskers and people who don't want to wear motorcycle helmets?
No. Was there a correlation thing you could find there? Or?
Oh, well, I was just like going through my my Facebook feed and like tons of anti-maskers on there because it's mostly conservative people from the military. And then like there's a bunch of because it's summertime, there's a bunch of bike stuff out there, and in Iowa there's no helmet laws in Iowa. And then I was like, oh wait, these are the same assholes, aren't they? Like
Same crew.
the mask isn't really about like your civil liberties being impinged upon. It's that you think masks are gay.
Is that the argument?
No, they don't say that, but that's really what it's about. I mean, I think Bill Burr like really picked up on this stuff, where it's imagine like I don't this probably affected your generation even more, but also I'm like trying to think of all the things I never did just because I had the thought like, well, what if somebody thought I was gay because of it?
Oh,
Like. It's like, oh, I can't wear a pink shirt. Some will think I'm homosexual. Now, pink's not my color anyways, but,
yeah.
Do you guys see the meme going around on Reddit and shit where it was a kid trying to stick a fork in an outlet? It's like, you can't tell me what to do. I got rights. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like the dark one, it was like a kid going into a high school. That it was something like school shootings are just a cost of freedom. Wearing a mask is like it's like this is the line in the sand. It was something like that. It was like just completely insane, over the top, like comparisons of stuff. It's like, oh, that's dark. I never even thought of shit like that.
But
Yeah,
but no,
one of my uncles. Oh, sorry.
Well, the whole like gay thing, that Bill Burr's example is like, remember how everybody thought rollerblading was cool until somebody said it was gay, and then overnight nobody had ever rollerbladed.
Throwing rollerblades out in the country.
No, it's my uncle posted something today on Facebook where it was the same like fucking anti-mask, like we're Trump American. Fucking, we're patriots all the way. We love our country, and you guys are all assholes for not doing the same thing we're doing. Shit. Because he's like, I just go to work and obey the law. We love our country. We're the silent majority. We don't make waves or whatever. And I was like, fuck bullshit you do. It's like you're the people that go out and fucking protest wearing masks in public with guns. Fucking beat people up for fucking making you wear a mask and obey the rules everybody else is obeying. Fuck you.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of this stuff around. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of it around here.
I haven't. No, I mean, it's not required in Walmart, but there's plenty of people going around and stopping and having conversations and like that are really stupid about like oh, this is all just propaganda. And it's like my government can't infringe on my just in the middle of Walmart, a private private property that's corporate owned. It's like
Yeah, no one gets that. It's like they really don't care. They just don't want to be sued if there's some massive outbreak. They're just protecting their assets. This isn't about
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's like, even if like a state lifts this thing, like Walmart's probably not going to lift their current regulations because the liability is too huge.
Yeah, that's what it all is. That's what people don't understand about that. Is like this isn't some ploy. It's like first they're gonna make you wear a mask, and they're gonna cut your dick off. It's like that's not. Because I'm not a fan of it either, but I'll do it because I just am like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Whatever I got to do to pay my mortgage, that's great.
And what do you go in the grocery store for? You can just go hunt and farm. Just like that.
What you've been talking about all these years anyway. I live off the land. There's no wild coronavirus.
There's always those assholes in Walmart too, where it's just like if we don't have something, and like their backup response is like, "Well, I live on a farm, so." It's like, then why are you here? Because you're lazy or what?
It's like, well, I didn't know you could get frozen tater tots out of the ground there. Fucking Cletus, but okay. Because are you walking in other sections of the store and people say that, or are you still in the freezer section?
In the freezer section, but you can just hear that idiocy all over the store. You hear that in the jewelry department. I live on a farm. What are you looking at jewelry for at Walmart?
You should be a Tractor Supply. Getting some harnesses and chickens.
And what's this like? I live on a farm. You mean your parents died and you inherited their house? Now you're just slowly not keeping up with everything. And it's just falling apart, and you came to Walmart because you need to eat. The chicken's dead.
What are things?
I feel like I just do that every store now, where it's like I'm trying to buy a TV and they're out of stock, and it's like, don't worry, I live on a farm. We're going to Taco Bell, like order shit. They're like, it's gonna take 30 minutes. I don't got time for this. I live on a farm. I grow tulipas by the bushel full, motherfucker. I can get what I want.
And you figure like these supposed farmers. I mean, there's a difference between farmers and people who live on a farm, who just like don't appreciate people, like don't appreciate work ethic, or people who like have jobs. It's like you don't have the right job, so we don't declare you a human being.
It's like, what that? You get breadsticks at Olive Garden? You're not a fucking human being. Go eat my breadsticks, subhuman.
Why aren't you a part-time welder like me with 4 fingers?
Yeah, there's like a positive message, like a meme about that the other day, where there's one woman that was, because there's 2 different people on the side of the street, and one woman's like pointing to the garbage man and like telling her daughters like, don't grow up, be a garbage man. That means nothing. And it's like, that garbage man probably makes more than most of the people do in the United States for fucking wage jobs. It's all just tossing garbage in the back of a truck. It's not a bad job.
I just don't know where the fuck that comes from. Like, if you have a job, I respect you for having a job. Even if you suck at your job, it's like, at least you're trying. I mean, actually, you're not, but, you got up, you went to work. Good job.
Tied your shoes, did it all in one try.
Hopefully next time we can get the job that you're good at, or the job you want. They're never going to be the same thing, but
Yeah.
But I just don't get that, like, people who just like, you don't have the right job, you don't deserve respect. Like, that's fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my management's.
A job like mine, where if any you're in a store waiting in a line, and somebody strikes up a conversation, and anything that's ever gone wrong with a car that's made by the same company I work for, you're somehow either supposed to have a solution or in some way responsible for it. It's like, I don't know what your fucking radio doesn't hold the fucking thing. I mean, had that conversation. It's like, oh, they fucked me on my warranty. Well, here, let me get your name and I'll pass this along. I'll give him a call. I mean, some stuff it's like, yeah, let's talk about this or that, but people want to like, oh yeah, my transmission's been fucked. It's like the guy who came here and put this window in. He saw like one of my things on the wall. He's like, yeah, that F-150 I have is a piece of shit. And I was looking at the truck and I was like, that's just a standard quarter-ton two-wheel drive pickup. He goes, yeah, that's what I bought. And I said, you're pulling a fucking trailer that like is over the tow capacity of that truck, empty. Let alone you got it full of shit. Because not only are you doing windows, but you're extruding vinyl siding and stuff and making, gutters and all that. So that truck's not ready to pull that. He's telling me the transmission's fucked up all the time. It's like, yeah, it's not meant to pull 10,000 pounds, you fucking moron. And his buddies, the guy who's been working with him, started laughing at him. It's like, I told you that, Jim. That truck ain't big enough for that. He shut up. He's like, yeah, I might not know. I didn't build it, but I didn't design it, but I know it. I can look on the tag inside the door and see gross towing weight, and I know that's way over the weight. It's like people buying a micro bus and trying to run a, frame and carpet shop. It's like, yeah, that thing's not going to work for you.
Yeah, because even my little Crosstrek thing has like 1,000-pound towing capacity, and that's it. And it's like you want to buy a towing hitch? I'm like, what? So I can tow my fucking like baby stroller behind my car? Like, what am I gonna tow that's less than 1,000 pounds?
You can get one of those comically small U-Haul trailers.
Just carry a person in that like a recliner. put it in the back. It's like, okay, Jim, we're here. Get out.
Yeah, I love those conversations though. Why quit wearing like work clothes in public? Because I'm a customer service rep. Fucking no. It's no good for me. The transmission goes out all the time. It's like, yeah, what are you pulling with that? Like the whole back end squatted down on this Taurus, like he's been carrying horses in the back seat. Is like, they're designed for certain things. They're not.
Well, I had a little bit of car trouble a couple weekends ago after our last podcast because I popped a tire in Marion. So now I paid to replace the tire, but I didn't know since it was all-wheel drive, I got to replace all fucking 4 of them. So.
Is that what they told you?
Yeah, because it apparently fucks up your drivetrain and also the wear of the tires because you can't balance it without 4 new tires, supposedly on all-wheel drive platform.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the tire wear thing I can understand, but I don't know about drivetrain problems. But also, I don't know that much about cars.
Well, so I looked it up because I thought it was fucking bullshit because it's like, you just replace the fucking tire. And yeah, it's just, maybe buy 2 instead of 1, but at the same time, it's just gonna...
Well, what happens when you put the donut on?
Oh, well, I put it on, so I popped it and I couldn't get the jack to work or the fucking wrench because it's shit. So I called my free roadside service and they came and did it, but he put it on the front, so that fucking sucked ass for a little while because...
So if you just put 1 new tire on, is the car waiting to become a bomb at some point, or what is it?
Well, that's what they make it sound like. But I asked the guy,
what happens if you put a spare tire on? Like, what's the difference?
To me, nothing, because I put the spare on, and the only thing it did was obviously it's a smaller diameter and bigger or smaller and shit. Like literally, it fucking like dragged. If you accelerated fast or brake fast, it drug to the right. Or whatever, because that's the side it popped on. But that was just the fucking spare tire. Ever since then, it handles fine, it acts fine. He just like, oh, don't go on any major road trips with it. And it's like, well, my car only has 19,000 miles for being 3 years old. I'm pretty sure I'm good in that department. But, I mean, he makes it sound like basically my drivetrain will be really fucked up if I don't get new tires within the next year.
Well, what did your research reveal?
It claims that it hurts the drivetrain overall over time, and also obviously wear pattern on the rest of your tires. But the rest of my tires are due to be replaced within a year anyway, so I don't really see the point of like rushing it and like getting it now instead of getting like an extra $600 on tires.
Yeah.
When I had my Fusions, now they're all-wheel drive. Now they're not Subarus, but I know when I had a tire go flat in the front, they replaced both tires on the same axle, but they didn't do all 4 of them. But then again, I don't know. That's every company's different, because that's kind of Subaru's thing. So you might have a more powerful, calibrated one. And I don't know how that works.
I mean, it's because you look at the top question on Google when it comes up, because the first 3, when it says all-wheel drive tire replacement, mismatched tires are often a primary factor in drivetrain damage.
Yeah.
And then so it's like, oh, do I have to replace all 4 tires? Like, well, the rear and the front wheels don't need the replacement of all 4 tires at once, but an all-wheel drive vehicle needs balanced traction at all 4 corners. Mismatched tires on all-wheel drive may lead to damage of several components. You should always check the owner's manual to get guidelines for replacing the tires.
How much was it to put 4 tires on it?
Well, it was $151 for the Cooper that I bought, so it'll be another $500 with balancing and replacement for the next 3.
That's not bad for 4 tires.
No, I mean, it's not as bad because we had Yamamoto's on there, and those are like $250 a tire.
Yeah.
So, a lot cheaper.
All right. Well, that's all I got for this week. I got to get to sleep.
No.
It's good talking to you.
Yeah.
And this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
Mrs. Conlon?
Andrew.
Goodbye, America.